Hello, everybody. It is me, Demetra K, and I hope that you are having a great day. The purpose of the Demetra K Show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we're great people, but we can always strive to do better. Like I said, big giant thank you and welcome to YouTube and Facebook. You are at the other side of the conversation. Now, I want to say right off the top, I'm going to go down to the bottom of the comment section after I get through, saying all the stuff that I need to say, only because traditionally I've been starting from the top and then I don't get to the bottom and the comments are kind of behind and I'm responding to stuff that was said like 20 minutes before that, right? So I'm going to go to the bottom when I'm done. Now, if you absolutely have some questions that you want me to see and all that, then just wait till I'm done. But y'all can say hi to each other and all of that. But anyway, I'd like to say thank you to my moderators. You are the best to ever do it. I could not and would not do this without you. Also in the comment section is not that we disagree. It is how we disagree. And we're going to be talking about MAGA Celebrity Jillian Michaels. I'm sure most of y'all know who Jillian Michaels is. She's actually on my thumbnail and I'm going to show a video of her. But she is, I guess, a celebrity fitness trainer. And she was on CNN not that long ago. And she kind of said some things that is like, excuse me, say what? So I'll let y'all see that. And then I'm going to break it down as much as I can, right? Because there's foolishness being said every day on every platform. And I believe that this is something that needs to be addressed. But basically, she downplayed slavery to defend Trump and some of the things that he's doing. So again, we're going to get into all of that. But in the meantime, let's see who else is on here before I get started, just to give everybody else a moment to come on in here. Phoenix, how you doing? Says, will it be the end of her career? I'm not necessarily interested in her career ending or anything like that. I'm not a fan of Jillian Michaels or anything. Should she be canceled? I don't know. I'm not that vested into that because I have a little bit more knowledge of self than the average. And I know that the ignorance of that woman does not define me, does not ruin my day, any of that other stuff. So I don't feel a need for her personally to be canceled because what she said does not affect me. But it should be addressed because it is ignorance. And of course, we'll get into all of that. One who cares, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Albie Chill, what's up? Brother James, how you doing? You said you sent me several things. A couple of them is Minister Farrakhan said about reparations, and the other is Danny C. and what's going on here in Chicago. Okay, I have to check it out. I sometimes get inundated with a lot of emails, and I just haven't had a chance to check today, but I will. Hey, Vanessa, how you doing? Brother Dom, my triple OG moderator, how you doing? LaShondra, what is going on? Jersey, Rick, Shan, how you doing? I am doing well. It's hot as Hades here in Houston, but it's probably that way everywhere. Mike, nice. How are you doing today? Diane, thank you so much. How are you doing? Super Patriot. Seymour, I see you here early. And Tracy, how are you doing? And Monique, I am well. I hope the same for you. All right. So I think that I've tap danced long enough. Everybody will trickle in when they trickle in, and hopefully they can catch up when they catch up. Anyway, nevertheless, I think it was maybe Friday or so. Jillian Michaels, who is a celebrity fitness trainer. You might have seen her if you've watched back in the day, The Biggest Loser. It's a show where they have the contestants who are morbidly obese, right? They have them lose a lot of weight in a short amount of time by engaging in austere measures like exercising all day long and eating very little and all that. And typically they do lose all the weight, but a lot of them don't keep it off, right? So the show actually is a Netflix series. I haven't watched it yet because my daughter's in California right now. I want to wait till she gets back. But there's a Netflix special talking about, some of the things that they did on there. And it's like #1 series, as a matter of fact. A lot of negative things came out of it. And again, she was on that show. Now, Jillian Michaels also came under scrutiny before for selling diet supplements that may or may not have been what they said they were. But nevertheless, the lawsuit was dismissed. And I'm just giving you a history of who she is because she's been in some things that'll make you raise your eyebrows. So what I'm about to show you, it's in line with her personality, I would say, and some of the things that she says. Here we go.
The Smithsonian, he's effectively now has some random person deciding what is appropriate for the Smithsonian to teach in terms of American history, things that don't offend parts of the MAGA base, right? So we're now literally reviewing parts of American history and parts of American culture to make sure it comports with dear leader and what the MAGA
Can we address
wants.
some of those things that are in there? Because have you looked at some of the things that are being reviewed?
Yeah, slavery was a bad thing that was to talk about.
Okay.
Like,
he's not whitewashing slavery. So
he's not?
He's not. No,
okay.
He's not. And you cannot tie imperialism and racism and slavery to just one race, which is pretty much what every single exhibit does. But let's talk about the fact that when you
can't tie slavery.
Let's talk about the fact
that
slavery in America was.
Do you realize that only less than 2% of white Americans owned slaves?
But it was a system of white supremacy.
You realize that slavery is thousands of years old?
White people were.
Do you know who was the first race to try to end slavery?
Well,
what's controversial?
I'm very surprised.
This is an extraordinary exercise in historical revisionism.
I'm really surprised.
Do you realize that,
Jillian, I'm surprised that you're trying to litigate who was the beneficiary of slavery and who was not.
What I'm trying to tell you is that
in the context of American history,
Okay.
what are you saying is incorrect by saying that it was white people oppressing black people?
Every single thing is like, oh, no, this is all because white people bad.
All right, so that is Miss Jillian Michaels, everybody. So I'm going to remove her. I should also say that she is LGBTQ. She is married to a woman. I've seen a lot of people talk about her adopting a black child from Haiti, and I have an opinion on that in just a minute. But yeah, so when Trump and Pence were in office, she did not like Pence because she's like, he's the most anti-LGBT person on the planet. She took him to task. And now, you know, she's a big time MAGA supporter. I guess maybe she's always been a very conservative individual. But nevertheless, y'all heard her criticism. Basically, Trump, as y'all know, is trying to realign the Smithsonian to his values. I guess he has somebody going through there, all the museums, right, to make sure it does not, I guess, paint white people in a bad light, just for a lack of better words, right? And so the African American Museum is one of those things that's under scrutiny. And so as y'all saw, the lady was explaining that, and then Jillian Michaels was, you know, she took exception and basically said that it was less than 2% of white people that owned slaves, something like that. And then, of course, Trump was accused of whitewashing slavery because I guess some of the things he wants to do in the Smithsonian Museum takes away from that. But nevertheless, I just want to give a little bit of a historical context. So bear with me again. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom of the comment section when I'm done. Now, during the height of slavery in the United States, approximately 89% of Black people were enslaved. That means that the vast majority of Black American population in the U.S. was living under the brutal system of slavery. For example, in 1860, there were roughly 4.4 million Black people in the U.S., with about 4 million of them enslaved. Okay. Now, this is a time period from 1790 to 1860, although we know slavery started long before that. Of course, we're talking about chattel slavery, which was that the slaves weren't seen as people or humans. They were seen as property. Okay, just want to put that in there. Now, when focusing on individuals legally recorded as slave owners, the percentage is lower compared to, now that's what we got to pay attention, compared to considering all members of households that benefited from slavery. So while it might have been one household, they might have had like 5, 6, 7 people in there that benefited from slaves, right? Okay. So clearly there were more slave owners in the South than there were in any other part of the United States, right? So taking, for example, the North. Now, one study suggests that in 1860, approximately 20 to 25% of families in slaveholding states owned slaves. So she said, what? 2%, but this is saying 20 to 25%, okay? Now, while other sources indicate the percentage could be as high as 49%, in states like Mississippi and South Carolina, very slave states, right? Now, another source states that roughly 25% of American households in the South owned slaves. So again, this is debunking all that 2%, around like 2%. That's why I put on the thumbnail, it was just a tiny bit of slavery, right? Because that's what I heard. Now, while a significant portion of Southern families owned slaves, the majority owned fewer than 5. And the bulk of the wealth and political power generated by slavery was concentrated in the hands of a small number of large-scale planters, okay? Now, even white Americans who did not own slaves benefited from the institution through industries that supported slavery, such as shipping, right? So you might not have had slaves, but you owned them ships and you sold them and built them or whatever for slave owners, right? To help steal and bring slaves to the transatlantic slave, trade and all that other stuff, okay? Now, where was I? Okay, so or by providing goods and services to slave owners. Additionally, the existence of a slave class at the bottom of the social structure provided a degree of social elevation for even the poorest whites. So even the poorest whites were getting some benefit from slavery. Now, in conclusion to that, while the exact percentage of white individuals who own enslaved people is difficult to pinpoint, historical data indicates that a notable portion of white families, particularly in the South, directly participated and benefited from the institution of slavery. However, it is also important to acknowledge the broad economic and social impact of slavery that extended beyond direct ownership, influencing the lives of all Americans during that period. Okay, great. So now we know that it wasn't just that little tiny 2% that she was saying. Now, some people might ask, because as she was trying to make the difference too, is that, oh, well, people own slaves all over the world. That is true. However, there are different types of slavery. American slavery, primarily based on race, with enslaved individuals predominantly of African descent. The racial distinction was used to justify the enslavement of a specific group of people, unlike many other historical forms where slavery was based on factors like war or debt, right? So other factors like war, debt. Now, other forms of slavery, while some other forms of slavery also involved race, like the Arab slave trade, the American system exclusively focused on race, being the unique factor, right? So Black Americans, okay? Because other civilizations, they had all kind of other people. Now, permanent and inherited bondage. American slavery was a lifelong condition, and children born to enslaved women were automatically enslaved, resulting in hereditary system. This meant slavery was not temporary condition or a pathway to freedom, but a permanent state of passed down through generations. So slave master one passed it down to the kids and so on and so forth, right? Now, in other forms of slavery, in many other historical contexts, including some forms of slavery in Africa, slaves could earn their freedom or their children might be born free. Now, the economic system, and I'm almost done here because I want to really just give it a context. The economic system, American slavery was closely tied to the capitalist economy, particularly the plantation system. Enslaved people were viewed as a source of labor and profit, driving the economic force of the southern states and contributing to global markets. Y'all heard that? Global markets. So we debunking this little 2% stuff she talking about. Okay. Now, of course, with other forms of slavery, it says while slavery was often a part of the the economy in other places, American slavery scale and integration into global economic systems were distinctive. Now, the treatment and brutality. Now most of us know about that, right? But American slavery was known for its extreme brutality and denial of basic human rights. Enslaved people faced harsh punishments, inadequate living conditions, and were often treated as property rather than human beings. Now, the other forms, while some other forms of slavery were also brutal, the extent of the violence and dehumanization in American slavery was unique, right? Nothing compared to that. That's basically what it's saying. Okay. Now, lastly, the justification for slavery in America says American slavery required a justification as the nation was founded on ideals of liberty and equality. This justification often involved racist ideologies that portrayed enslaved people as inherently inferior and suited for servitude. Now, of course, with the other ones, in many other historical contexts, slavery was simply a consequence of conquest or other circumstances without the need for the elaborate justification. All right. So I just kind of wanted to break it down because we hear a lot of the conversation in regards to slavery. And of course, you hear them folks, and she's one of them folks. She's actually Jewish, if you didn't know that. I don't have my other book, but y'all can get into them, right? There's 3 volumes by the Nation of Islam, The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. The first one really covers how all this came about, right? Y'all can check it out, The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. But there she is, you know, trying to downplay it. Of course, she's supporting Trump again with what he's trying to do with the Smithsonian. But she's not the only one that does that. We hear a lot of them folks trying to justify, well, you know, it wasn't all people that was in slavery, but y'all just heard me break it down that most white people in America and even globally benefited from the American institution of slavery that was very brutal. But I'm going to try to be nice. She's not that bright. Of course, we know, as we found out with The Biggest Loser and some of her, you know, diet pills, she may be a grifter, right? And with her grifting, she's probably like, oh, MAGA hot and popping. Yeah, let me get on that. Let me get on these, you know, and CNN, I guess, is getting some backlash because they're like, why would you have her on there, you know, or whatever the case is. But yeah, she's probably grifting. Let me get on this MAGA stuff. I'm going to defend Trump and talk about it wasn't that much slavery, this, that, and the other. Needless to say, she's getting her backside kicked in by a lot of people with some sense. But I want to get back to her child that she adopted. That's Black from Haiti. A lot of people are like, oh my God, she adopted a Black child. Listen, I'm going to say this. Yeah, it's horrible. Somebody like her that has adopted a Black child. But I think that we should really be more focused on us teaching our children knowledge of self, because there's a lot of us that don't teach our children knowledge of self, while this idiot is teaching her child that, oh, slavery in America wasn't that bad. Now, we know they had slavery in Haiti as well. But we're going to have a good conversation here. I want to see what you all say. But the premise that I'm trying to make here is, for one, let's not get upset when we hear people like her say those things. That is red meat, rather, for the base of people she's talking to. And it worked, right? Mag was like, yeah, you tell them. She's telling me right. So now she's a temporary hero. You know, they love her because she got on CNN, who was very liberal. And, you know, she told them that finally somebody speaks the truth, right? They're saying all that other stuff. But see, it don't matter what Trump does in that Smithsonian. Doesn't matter what Jillian Michaels gets on CNN and says. If we know the truth, that's what matters. But unfortunately, somebody like Jillian Michaels, she will influence, you know, I'm going to be nice, people who aren't that smart. And they'll run away with the narrative that only was less than 2%. You know, of white people. And then, of course, she was mad because she's like, well, people keep saying white people bad because of all the things that's taking place all over the world. But I'm like, if you do a little research, you can draw your own conclusions as to where their hand has been throughout every portion of this world, time period, and everything. So anyway, I'm going to see what y'all got to say. Again, I'm going to start at the bottom, because if I go to the top, I ain't going to never make it to the bottom. So anyway, I'll start with 48 TCO. How you doing? And hello to everybody that's come on here. One who cares, she says, Jillian Michaels is a grifter. Yes, she's a grifter. She's like MAGA trained. People are making money. Let me get in on some of that, you know? Yeah. Where did it go? Sorry, my thing skipped up. Brother James says, all that money she makes, that is how ignorant and stupid she is. She needed Minister Farrakhan to check her. She still benefited from slavery. America was built on free labor. Exactly. But, you know, that kind of stuff works for her base. All they need is to hear somebody, you know, get on CNN or whatever and say foolishness like that, and they'll run away with it, right? And all of this is just really a quick search. You can find all of this, right? Sunlight, how you doing? Buckhorse, what's going on with you? James, you say Elijah Muhammad said he wouldn't give 2 cents to this education system. We have to educate our children the proper way. Yeah. So I'm saying, we worried about what they saying on TV, but do you know it not to be true? Not you, Brother James, but I'm saying in general. Do we know any of that to be true? How many of us listen to her say that and be like, oh, for real? Yeah, she right. Because if it was only 2%, then, you know, slavery really wasn't that bad. You know? The Hassan, how you doing, says the current reality that anti-Black content creator grip is a lucrative thing. Oh yeah, absolutely. Now it's always been fashionable to hate Black Americans, but now that Trump is in office, you know, and really when anybody's in office, but especially him, they feel like I'm free to be me now, right? I could say, let the N-word just rip. I could say it when I want. Ain't nobody gonna cancel me. I could say it where I want. Ain't nobody gonna cancel me. In fact, somebody might fundraise $1 million for me if I run around calling black people the N-word. But as I always say, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, as James Baldwin have said, that ain't our word. Why do we want to gatekeep that word? We want to gatekeep some of the silliest stuff sometimes. I don't want that word. We did not create that word. That is their word. But as all of the aforementioned said, we act like that. They've made that word, and now we act like that. So the acting like that part now is on us. But the creation of that word, no, that's theirs all day long. You know what I'm saying? Just don't say it to my face, but you can say it on the online or wherever, at your mama house, Obama house. I don't care. It has nothing to do with me, right? Vanessa, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Let's see. Albie Chill says, I'm glad we taking back our narrative. Yeah, we got to, you know, like that stuff. I know it used to hurt. It still does in a sense, but it's like, you said the N-word. Whoopie-dee-doo, you know. Brother Reggie, how you doing? Says, peace family, headed to work, but I'm tuned in. Will you be safe out there? 48 TCL says, now I know. He says, call the MGT bunch or butch body, but your girl Jillian got you know what? You better stop. Baraka, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you as well. Sister Tracy says, what about the white dude that shot the black veteran in his chest in broad daylight? And when was that? Did that happen recently? Okay. And Albie Chill says, I never hear them say we didn't work for it, therefore we shouldn't inherit this generational wealth. Exactly. No, they don't talk about that. You know, they leave that off because they know most other people don't know that. Don Reddy, how you doing? You know what? I ain't gonna read that, but I can read it. Michelle, how you doing? Says CPS, keep an eye. Crazy. CPS, Child Protective Services, keep an eye on Jillian. Well, yeah, you saying because she has the Haitian child. I mean, but let's keep it a buck. A lot of us got black children. We don't teach them nothing about who they are. You know, I have a problem with her adopting a child. I do, but I'm just saying, I want to talk about the things we can control. Let's teach our own children knowledge of self. That way, when they come across Jillian's child in the school system or the mall or wherever they might bump into her, they can school her and be like, oh, yeah, I understand why you taught that, you know, your mama on that BS or whatever, but this is the truth, right? And when your children go to school and they learn some stuff from white supremacy, that slavery was okay, it wasn't that bad, right? My daughter had a teacher who was trying to teach that to her in the 5th grade, and I said, I don't think so, right? But that way, when that happens, your children can say, that's not what my mom and daddy told me. Nah, I don't know that story, right? So we have to educate our own children. Otherwise, Jillian's children and, you know, poor girl, but she'll get out there thinking, slavery wasn't that bad. It was just a little bit, you know? Let's see. I'm gonna skip down. Who haven't I seen already? Jersey Rick, he says the fake owned most of the boats that carried the slaves across the sea. Yeah, they have a lot to do in slavery. Of course, they say no, we didn't, but let me tell you something. Okay, all 3 of these books. The other one I have, I think it's in my room. It's somewhere, but it's 3 of them. The first one says, nah, that's a lie. Y'all had a lot to do with it, right? Anyway, yeah, I've seen that Brother James Donahue show with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Easy E in the building says slavery, the most profitable business of all time. And you ain't lying. They still getting residuals from it, believe it or not, right? Vanessa says, yeah, I wish someone would call me out my name. They will meet the spray. What is that? Some mace, some pepper spray. Carrie, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. And Brother Reggie says, Jillian with the muffin. What? Muffin on muffin love too. I hope she don't be teaching her adopted son no weirdness. Yeah, one would hope, right? But yeah, she's a grifter. That's what it is. They all do that. They all figure out the sweet spot of making money. And as somebody said, that's Black Americans. That's, talk about Black Americans. Because, you know, back in the day, it was taboo. You couldn't really do that. But now we can let it rip. And, you know, when they see we don't get a rise out of that, then it's like, okay, well, it doesn't affect them like it used to, right? We don't headstone start spinning around and stuff. We just say, well, whatever, your mama, right? Super Patriot says, you have a problem with it? I mean, I do, but I don't. Like I said, we don't own that word. That's not our word. Oh, you know, you can't say the N-word. You can't say the N-word. Why? We don't got a pink slip to that. I'm not saying people should say it, but I'm saying we don't want to own nothing else. but we want to own that. I find that strange. That's really strange to me. Out of all the things we could gatekeep, the N-word, I wish I would run around the internet talking about you can't say that and you can't say that. I as a thousand things I'd rather do than that, because that means that I own that word, and I ain't making no money off of that word. But you know who making money off of that word? Anyway, Kelly, how you doing? Says no wonder raccoons are messed up. Yeah, no knowledge of self. And Brother Steven, how you doing? Tell your wife I said hello. He says I still school my daughters and now my grandkids. You got to. The learning and the teaching don't stop. We always got to be teaching, because they teaching their children. Now they ain't teaching them the truth, but they teaching them, right? It's still something they're learning. But yeah, we can't keep being out there talking about, oh yeah, I didn't know that. Really? Oh, slavery wasn't that bad. Carrie says, what amazes me, it said it's not just what they did in the past, it's what they're doing at the present time. Well, it's the same. They're doing the same thing that they've always been doing. It was dormant for a while, but now it's come to the surface. And now they just feel free again, right? They feel like people are demonizing them. Oh, it's not okay to be white. Oh, you know, it's now we could be white again. And what they're really saying is now we could just be racist out in the open. We ain't got to go to the racist closet up in the house no more. We could do it all out the public square on X, everywhere. We could be a racist again. That's what they're saying a lot of times. Oh, we could be white again. And nobody probably got a problem with you being white, but we do have a problem with you being racist. You know, but to them it's one and the same. Charles, how you doing? Says if we walk around with our boots on the ground, we should crack the whip also. Yeah, I got you. And, you know, crack the whip on our own people and say, hey, let's get with it, right? Lolo, what's up? He says the Bible details a lot of our slavery. That's true. And it details a lot of things that's going on. You know, time's up. And you know who time is up for. African Native, how you doing? Said it's imperative to repeatedly remind the kids in the household about slavery, Jim Crow, and other atrocities perpetrated against us. Educating means reminding the kids again and again. Yes, and teach them that it's not Black history, it's American history. Oh, yes, that belongs to them. So that's what Trump and all of them is trying to do, to get rid of that. But you know why they are so free to get rid of it? Because they know that it's not being taught in all of our households. Now it's being taught in some, right? But when we get beyond whining and crying about, oh, they're trying to take Black studies out of school and they're getting rid of Black African American studies in school, when we get past that, then they'll say, oh, well, that don't bother them because they teaching it at home at the dinner table. They done turned the TV off. You know, we're the largest TV watchers, if you haven't known, but they done turned the TV off. Now they learning something. They going back and learning knowledge of self. See, when they know we doing that, then they're like, well, it don't do us no good to remove it because they already know it. But see, the other problem is they don't want their children to know that. Oh, y'all want us to teach our children that they're bad. No, it's not necessarily that. We just want them to know that what their history really is, right? African Goddess, how you doing? So seriously worried about the Black child of Jillian. That's a child that's being emotionally abused. I mean, she is, but what can we do about it? Is anybody going to go and try to adopt her? I mean, I'm just asking. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I'm saying, we talk about it, but what are we going to do about it? Trust me, this white system and the CPS system, they don't have a problem with her being on CNN saying all that other stuff. They don't have a problem with it. You know, but the minute you look at your sideways and they call CPS on your child, gone. In a lot of cases, right? So, but the question is, what can we do about it? Like I said, the antidote to that is educate our children that way. When they come across her, they can say, oh no, baby girl, your mama a fool, and nicely, right? Your mama a fool, because you talking about people mama that gets insensitive, but that ain't what it is, you know. But the crazy part is, if Jillian is teaching her daughter that and she comes into knowledge of self, oh yeah, she might have a little Nat Turner on her hands, because that's what happened with Nat Turner. When he found out the truth, he was like, oh word, Miss Ann, for real? Okay. So that could backfire on her. Facts Not Feelings, how you doing? Says whites in the USA have a policy to adopt foreign kids and grow them into American white supremacists and propaganda to later send them back to their country and turn over the financial land and other resources to US. Yeah, that might be true, but you know, are people teaching their children the opposite to combat that? Avenge the Ancestors, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Brother James says, Sister Danny C and other brothers and sisters from Chicago Flip, Chicago Red is protesting the way they are trying to educate our children. Yeah, that's another way. Let them know, right? They're in direct opposition to the Democrat Party, which has done absolutely nothing for their most loyal group of voters. Unicorn Squad, how you doing? Says when she said what she said, the first person I thought about is the adopted Black children. Yeah, but again, what can we do about that? Hopefully her daughter comes into knowledge herself and be like, damn, my mama, she off, right? But it is a scary thought. And it's like I said, it's even scarier to know that there's some people in our community that aren't teaching their children anything about themselves. So that's what I'm concerned. Albie Chill, he says, did you see Amanda Seals debating Black conservatives? It was super cringe. I saw like maybe 2 minutes of one. I said, is it worth me watching? I entertained it. If it's worth me watching, then I'll watch it. But if it's not, then I'll take your word for it and pass. 48 TCO says she's going to have that Black girl wearing Party City wigs. You know what? And Barbie pink blush in about 6 years. Tragic. It all remains to be seen, right? But yeah, to hear her get on the news and say something like that, what is she teaching that child? You're not a victim. Black people aren't victims. They need to get out of that. Slavery was so long ago. There's no slave. I'm sure she's telling her all of that, right? Sister Tracy says, my daughter gets tired of me repeating it, making sure she knows. Yeah, it's repetitive. You got to keep on reinforcing knowledge yourself. That's not something you just stop teaching, right? So good for you. Kelly says they letting that racist flag fly. You talking about the MAGA flag or the American flag? Buckhorse, he says they're not teaching them the truth. Now that's a fact. They not, but are we teaching our children the truth? Skipping down, let me skip down. Rohan, how you doing? Says, see, God did her right. Can't have children, but she chose to get a slave baby. Well, if God is in the midst of that, would he give her a baby to do that too? Was it God? I don't know. I'm not God, so I can't speak for God. You nappy something. How you doing? Says study Professor Annette Gordon's reads work. Okay, and how you doing? I'll get your name down before we leave. I'm quite sure. Brother James says, I remember the dinner table talks with my parents and grandparents. Yeah, what happened to those, right? You also say, Sister K, you're not a jerk. You're being for real with it. Yeah, I just have to preface that because I know some people will be like, well, that was mean. I'll be having to watch myself. Super Patriot says, and guarantee that child will grow up to be suspicious. My opinion, yeah, some tells me she'll get the truth, right? Somebody will say, hey, come here. Let me tell you something, right? Rain, how you doing? Says, what would happen if we downplay the Holocaust? She is from that community. Yes, as I said at the top of the show. Oh, you know better than do that. You get on CNN and talk about that didn't happen. Boy, I tell you, they might be looking for you. 48 TCO says, folks, that smell like a sweaty dog in God's rain. You should never trust. You know what? I got to the bottom. I can't believe it. Z Goddess, she says, important broadcast. Yes. Okay. Okay, Kelly, you talking about the MAGA flag. Yeah, I mean, they both are very adverse to Black people. I would imagine, right? MAGA flag is adverse to a lot of people, if you really truly think about it. But, it's really about educating our own. Are we educating our own children? If we are not, then that's the bigger conversation. We can't do anything about what Jillian Michaels is saying or what she's not saying. All that. Like I said, she's not very bright. She knew exactly what to say. It was a grift to get on there, CNN, where she knew that sound bite would get back to her folks, right? The MAGA people, not the LGBTQ, but the MAGA folks, and they were going to eat it up, and they did, right? She knew what to do. It wasn't even that she was telling the truth. She was just confident in lying. And it sounded good to the people who are not bright like her. I'm trying to get good at not calling people names or something I'm working on. Let's see. Albie Chill says, I say it's good to watch only to learn what talking points they are using to misinform their audience. Yeah, that's good. I totally agree with you, right? And then we get the information to say, yeah, that's not true, right? And that's what they were trying to say to her, but it sounds like she was kind of over talking to them and all that other stuff, which is another strategy. Let's talk loud and be saying stuff, right? Oh, she told them. Like, what did she say, really? She was very ignorant. Michelle, what's going on? It says, good evening, everyone. Jillian and the MAGA group are a bunch of racists. I read and see their comments all day. I read, rather, and see their comments all day. I get right with them. My husband told me to stop arguing with them fools. Yeah, because I best heard it from my mama. When you argue with a fool, it makes you what? I'll let y'all finish the rest of that. Not saying that you're that, but I get it. You see stuff and you just got to learn to scroll. I mean, because you will be arguing with people all day long about foolishness. Well, that's not the. And listen, we got to remember too, for a lot of people, the things, hey, Beverly, how you doing? For a lot of people, the things that they do and say, it's a firm decision. It's rooted deep in ignorance. And a lot of them people, you ain't going to change their mind. You're not going to change their mind. And you not, there you go, mad dog. Yep, a fool. Yeah, so you online arguing with them people that everybody's a warrior behind the keyboard, right? Thumb thugging it up. And they, I'll say this, they copied and pasted it from some other, tool that's not so sharp. I need to find a name that's satisfying because I really am trying not to call names. I'm trying to be a better human. Herman, how you doing? Texas Barabbas, how you doing? He says Democrats allowed in millions of lighter-skinned Latino illegal aliens to replace Black Americans and gave them reparations. Yeah, so that's why a lot of people didn't vote for Kamala, because she was going to do it even more. She was like, if you think what Biden did was something, you just wait till I change the drapes in the White House. So, yeah, that's why, Trump is in office. Now, Trump is showing his whole orange behind. Yes, he is, right? But if you listen to a lot of people like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, God allowed that, right? There's a lot of things that we have to see, that we need to be made to believe. So instead of whining and crashing out about what Trump is doing, we need to be getting our affairs in order. I read right before I came on here that I think restaurant businesses in Washington, D.C. is down 31%. Now, there's some other factors involved in that, but mostly it's notable because people are like, I'm not making no reservations in Washington, D.C. You got the National Guards. You got all these other states sending the National Guards in and stuff. Now, I'd rather just eat somewhere else. But see, now it's starting to affect businesses. And those going to be the people that be like, hey, Trump, listen, the National Guards and all that was cool until our business, ain't nobody coming up in here. We're going to need you to knock it off. But see, to pay attention to something like that, imagine if everybody, especially us as Black Americans, withdrew our money from this racist system. Then they'll start to say, hey, Trump, it's cute in theory. Yes, it's cute. But hey, we going broke because those Black Americans, they don't like what you're doing. And not even just Trump, but all of them. We don't like what you're doing. So they took their money from us, and we need that money because Black Americans spend 97% of all their money with everybody, right? And they just decided they weren't going to do it anymore because they don't like the bullcocker that's coming out the White House. So we need you to lay off, right? He'll listen. But see, at some point in time, we got to start thinking of the power that we do possess. Crashing out about Trump all over the internet ain't helping. Rolling in them, busting a blood vessel every night, that ain't helping. Why don't they say, hey, Black people, and what happened to Target? I ain't heard nothing else about Target, but if they say, hey, Black Americans, or Black people, because y'all say rolling ain't, but stop spending. Stop spending. Buy only what you need and shop with your own people. If they said that, people would listen. But something tell me that there's corporations is telling those type of people, you better not tell them that. You better not lead them Black folks into not spending no money with us. So I'm just saying it could all be so simple, but we rather make it hard. Anyway, skipping on down. Toxic, how you doing? It says Justice for Trey Dean, right? And I'm sorry, I don't know who that is. If you give me a little refresher or bring me up to speed, I don't know who that is. T. Austin, how you doing? Vanessa says, yet they have fake high IQs, right? Brother James says, I don't argue with a fool, especially when they can't answer the question. It shows how dumb and silly they look. Yeah, I mean, what do we get out of arguing? If I'm getting something out of arguing, then all right. And it needs to be something worth my time, right? I don't want to know you won Am I getting some money? What am I getting from arguing with people, especially people I don't know? See, I learned to stop doing that, right? I'm not going to raise my blood pressure over strangers. I'm just not going to do it. And trust me, it sucks sometimes to be smarter than a lot of people, right? Not the smartest, but smarter, because you hear and see things and you're like, I just wouldn't want to say something or correct them, but nah, I ain't going to do that because no, you're not going to change your mind. Tahada, how you doing? Says they don't pre-plan these shows. This was planned, and he says they were laughing, the production room, saying this will get us social media clicks. Well, it worked if that's the truth, right? Lene, how you doing? Says, do you still live stream with Donovan? Yes, on Sundays and Tuesdays. So he'll be here tomorrow, but yes, I do. You probably just catch me when it's just me, right? Facts Not Feeling says, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. The parts of the Bible that vindicate Black people will be edited and rewritten by the Crown of England, like King James translated, edited the Bibles in 1611. But if they got the word on the curve from the Lord, doesn't matter if the Bible is edited. It don't matter, right? It is what it is. If the Lord gave the word and they just put it in the Bible, does that, and they get rid of it or change it or edit it, does it mean that what the Lord originally ordained is now changed? Just asking. Yeah, African Native. I'm reading the comment. Let's see. Easy says, the medieval rabbis, many whose Jewish congregant were slave traders, actually altered the Bible tale of Noah in the book of Genesis to create the curse of Ham. Interesting. Did not hear about that part of it. Michelle says, once his friends start to lose money, then he will change it. He always bows to his donors. Yeah. What do they call him? Taco, Trump always chickens out. I think that's what it stands for. Or something like that. Don't sound like he really liked that much. Buckhurst says, oh yeah, it's hurting DC. Yeah, people ain't gonna go spend no money there. It's like, man, I don't want to be trying to go out to dinner and get gaffled up or whatever, because they are definitely snatching people up for sure. Rain says ICE is deporting all the restaurant workers in DC and everywhere, right? So yes, that is the employment. It's a lot going on. Something else I saw where his, policies and stuff is hurting certain sectors of the economy. So yeah, it's going to get really, really interesting. Scoop, how you doing? So a lot of us don't realize we are money funds this economy. No us, no economy. Yeah, but I'm saying we rather be listening to people. It's like, okay, shut up nicely. Okay, be quiet. Let's have some solutions, right? If Black people stop spending, even if we just stop spending by 50%, that will send a sure enough message to the system of white supremacy that we ain't for play no more, right? We cannot out legislate white supremacy, just like they cannot out legislate what's coming down the pike for them. Okay. So if we start to think about the things we have control over, going out to Target, okay, whatever, it's your business, but it's bigger than Target. It's bigger than Target. Because we are the Target, right? We've always been the Target. Anyway, Heaven No, how you doing? It says, Warren Buffett said your clothes and cars do not indicate wealth. The money you save does. Yes, I actually study to follow Warren Buffett. Very smart man. I don't know if he's recently got a new car, but he was driving the same car that he had for a very long time. I want to say it was like a 2011 Cadillac something, and it might have even been older than that. Lives in the same house that he's been in, I think, since the 80s or maybe even longer than that, right? And he's like, I'm not going out to lunch at these, hoity-toity type of restaurants. I'm going to give me a quarter pounder of cheese, French fries, and a Coke, right? So yes, Warren Buffett, really good to study. Shanette, how you doing? Says reparations for American freedmen. Absolutely all day. Sister Shirley, what's going on with you? Pierre Hart, how you doing? Hope you're having a great day. Common man, what is up with you? Toxic says 16-year-old Trey Dean Wright was a Black teen lured by his white girlfriend into a setup in South Carolina. He was shot and killed in a love triangle dispute. 9 to 10 teens have been arrested, all white. Damn. Yeah, I have to look into that. Let me write this down. Trey Dean White. Was it Trey Dean Wright? Okay. Yeah, but you know what though? I don't know the particulars of the case, and I definitely will look into it. But I'm gonna just say, just kind of from what I heard, this love triangle is white girlfriend. See, we worried about Jillian Michaels, and again, we pray for that little girl, but we not educating our children. How many of you as black parents say, "Hey, if she can't use your comb, don't bring her home," right? We're one of the only group of people that apologize, or you can't help who you love. Oh, well, we invite everybody to our dinner table, but we're not invited to everybody's dinner table. And I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad that they don't want to invite us to their dinner table, but I'm mad that we invite them. Somebody, and again, I'm not speaking specifically on this brother that's, lost his life, but somebody somewhere dropped the ball, right? Again, we got to take that apology out of our vocabulary when we talking to our children. Well, love is love. You can't help who you love. Almost said the BS. Yes, you can help who you love. They tell their kids, don't bring this, that, and the other home, right? And they especially tell them don't bring no black man home or no black woman. But he lured off with 9 to 10 white kids that did him no good. Where, like, I gotta get the backstory to this, because I'm hoping maybe he just didn't listen. Somebody warned him, and you said it was where? South Carolina? Is that where you said it was? South Carolina? We know that racism, especially, it's almost as south as you can go. And you were lured off by somebody who don't look like you, and 10 of them behind a white girl. Yeah, we got to educate our own. I'm going to leave it at that before I get in trouble. Texas, Barabbas, says, Black Americans stop voting for Democrats. They don't have our best interest in mind. I'm Latino. I left the Democrats in 2015. Trump's not perfect, but puts Americans first. Yeah, he's definitely far from perfect. And yes, we do need to leave the Democrats alone. They never meant, especially as Black Americans, us no earthly good. They only use us. Y'all see how I'm sweating? It's hot. And I got my air on. I got a fan. It's just hot today. And I'll be having hot flashes. But yeah, they don't mean us any earthly good at all. Facts I Feel says, let me tell you another secret about the Bible. If you edit something out over the next few hundred years, it will be lost to history. No one will know or remember it. Many facts were lost to history. I know, but if we don't know it, don't God know it? You think God forgot? If God is pulling the strings, if he's the puppeteer, the puppet master, it don't matter what man does. God has the final say so, right? He is the one that's saying, I don't care what you write in these Bibles or you take out of these Bibles. I said what I said. I'm just trying to use a little bit of common sense to it all. Let me see, skip down to who I haven't seen so far. I am hot. Obadiah, how you doing? You said, what if you ball? What you mean, what if you ball? What? You're going to have to fill me in. I don't even know what that means. Mike, he says, more Truth Monday. Continue, Demetri. I'm trying. Tracy says, no, sorry is no. I don't do that. Yeah, but we as Black people in our community, we're very apologetic when it comes to that. Well, you can't help who you love, and there's love is love. But then the minute you go to your white boyfriend house or your white girlfriend house and you hear their granddaddy say, who was there? Then you're like, oh my God, right? But you was taught that love is love. I tell you what, my dad, who was 81 years old, said when he was, I don't know how old he was young, and his mama, she did not bite her tongue. She says, if you bring a white girl to my house, I will break your damn neck. And he said he never forgot that. Never, right? Did it sound like my grandmama bit her tongue? Did it sound like she was hemming and hawing and scratching where she don't itch? Sound like she was definite in what she said to her sons. Don't bring one of them to my house. Now you got to remember, my daddy was born in 1944. So yeah, that was Jim Crow all day, right? So what you're not going to be doing is gallivanting around with them. And I have to find you strung up on the tree behind thinking you finna be rolling around with Susie. Well, my auntie name was Susie, but Miss Ann. So let's see. Mad Dog says, we're the only people that open our arms to the ops. Yeah, but it's conditioning. It's conditioning from the plantation, right? We've been taught that. You gotta love massa. You know, when you get to heaven, you'll be washed white as snow. And some people here washing themselves white with bleaching cream. Tracy says, no, Trump put rich white Americans first. Come on now, tell the truth. Oh, you said, can't you better stop. So Obadiah says, when I said you can't use your comb, what if they bald? Well, you get the rest, right? If she don't use a wash rag, I'm just playing. I probably went too far with that one. Tracy says, I really hate that we mess. I'm sorry. And 48 TCO says, I do. My sons, it says, I do. My sons know and stand on that lineage business, Indigenous Day, Daddy side, FBA, my side. I know that's right. And Rain says hot flash can start as early as your mid 30s. I know I'm 35 and I'm just playing. It started when I was like in my 40s, right? And I'm 54 now. And it's like, golly, these hot flashes they just hold on to you like I got you. And sometimes they last for like minutes. Like I'll record my videos and stuff for the African Diaspora News Channel and Emancipation Media. And I'm in my office where I record and I can't really have my air on. So sometimes I might hear my air, but I can't have it on because in the videos you can hear it, right? So I have to turn the air off and I got this, now it's this fan I stole from my daughter and I have to have an ice pack and all that. But sometimes those hot flashes just grab onto me and like for 5 minutes, I'm a sweaty mess. So yeah, Albie Chill says they create these types of sayings to bypass our mental alert system. They manipulate linguistics to create emotions in the masses, especially our people. Yeah, because we've been taught to be emotional, right? To feel, especially for other people, more than we feel for ourselves. You got to remember, when we were on those plantations, we weren't considered a human, right? We were things. We were property. We didn't have any feelings. Even if you study the medical system, medical apartheid, right? They didn't see us as humans. Oh, they don't feel pain. Even now, it is said that a lot of doctors do not believe we feel pain like everybody else. So they may not numb us up as much or whatever the case is. So yeah, but we've been taught to feel for them, which is why you get the, yes, boss, you're them black people over there. They're saying this about you. And oh, I just love, oh, you know, yeah, George Floyd was a drug addict. You know, them type of people who just saying any and everything. Yes, 48 TCO. Yeah, my grandma was not no punk. Neither one of them. Albie Chill says, my grandma was German and said the same thing. Ironically, there you go. Dear self, how you doing? Says, dear Dimitri K, I preach that to my nephew all the time about the can't use your calm. I repeat the same to him and I let him know love is not colorblind. We don't live in a post-racial society. Yeah, but there's a lot of us, trust me, I've heard a lot of people say that. Well, we got to stop teaching our children that white people, this, that, and the other's like, yeah, okay, you might not want to go too heavy-handed on the other stuff, but you need to tell them the truth, right? Teach them the truth. Because you run around trying to not teach your children anything because that's not where we are anymore. And then when they get their little feelings hurt at school, then you want to go tear down the whole damn school because somebody called your child this, that, and the other. Or they fell in love with some little kid that don't look like them. And they say, ew, my mom says you're the N-word. And then they come home crying to you. And it's like, you big dummy, because you didn't educate your children. So, but you will this time though, huh? Tracy says, I wasn't taught. And money, he says, and many others have not. I think that's what you're trying to say. Mad Dog says, I wish our people would learn to love ourselves. Yep, when we learn to love ourselves, we don't see anybody else. It's not that we don't care about anybody else, but we care about ourselves first and more. We got to change that, right? Facts not, I know what you meant, Tracy. Facts Not Feeling says, why don't black women tell their daughters stop fooling with white men? Where's the consistency? If you don't knock it off. Now, you know damn well I'm not splitting hairs on this show. We know that we need to be telling everybody that I'm telling you because my daddy was not messing with no white man. Okay, nor was he messing with a white girl. But his black mama told her black son, don't bring a white girl home. So that's why I use that analogy. But I was not splitting hairs as though white or black women are not with white men. You can do what you want to do with that. This was not exclusive to black men because we know that is not just black men that date white women. We know that black women do it too. Listen, I don't have a dog in the fight of who you get in your bed. I just know who's not in my bed. And I know what I teach my daughter. Because that's the only direct influence I have, right, is to teach her knowledge of self. My daughter's 32 years old, and she know better. And she'll tell you that herself. Why? Because she was taught that from the cradle. I didn't wait till she got out there and, got the, oh, I want to be one. She know better. Now, you can like all the white bands and all that other stuff. Great. I like a lot of white music and stuff, if you want to call it that. But that's as far as it goes, right? We will not be doing the electric slide at no wedding with her and Brad. Let's see. Michelle, you say Costco has a little fan called Wazoo. He says, works great. I have them all around the house. Hot flashes are a mother. Yes, this fan is pretty good. But for me, when hot flashes get me, they just get me. I just have to just tap out and just wait it out. M, how you doing? Says, I never understood how a degenerate, warmongering people appeared sexy or lovable to anybody, even themselves. You better watch out now. LaShondra says, this week, I went to the cemetery. Okay. And what were you doing there? And Easy. And Diane says, never fall for that one. And Easy says, D, get the book, How White Folks Got So Rich, only 190 pages, affiliated with Nations History and Research, Amazon, How White Folks Got So Rich. Okay. Because, I like a short read because I haven't been doing well on reading lately. It's just, I don't know. I'm writing it down. So give me a second. Hopefully I can read my handwriting later. I got 3 more minutes. Creative, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. You're saying, what has you perplexed? Let's see. Asha, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Sherry, what's up with you? Who else haven't I seen? Facts Not Feeling says, those doctors believe we feel pain. They just choose to think otherwise because we don't have a loaded pew in our hands. Damn. When they try that BS with us, they will act right real fast. Yeah, or you just ask questions. Hey, Dano, how you doing? I ask my doctors questions. Why? Okay, why? Okay, yeah, why? Right? You need to line it up before you trying to get me to do something I ain't familiar with, right? I got you, Facts Not Feelings. African Native says it's preference. Some blacks are difficult. You can live amongst white folks without being befriended to them. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of white people, believe it or not. My high school at the time was predominantly white, so I still know a lot of those people today. I work with a lot of white people. We cool, but one thing Demetra ain't gonna never do is bite her tongue. As I said, I don't scratch where I don't itch with nobody. All the white people that know me, they'll tell you she always been like that. I always been like that, right? And a lot of people didn't like it, but guess what? I'm gonna speak my truth. I'm gonna be true to my black self. Just saying. Brother Steven says, dang, my mom said for me not to bring no white girl or babies to her house, and I never did. Yeah, but your mama wasn't like, well, you can't help who you love. Right? She told you what it was, and you said, and that's what it is. Rain says, Demetra Donovan was talking about a toilet that cleans you with water and no soap to save toilet paper. He talks crazy when you're not around. You talk about the bidet. Yeah, he got a bidet in all his house. He says we are filthy Americans because we don't believe in a bidet. Pierre Hart, he says royal jelly and bean pollen, Chinese tonic and herbs, great for menopause symptoms. I've heard of it all. I might one day try it. I'm just gonna ride the wave, right? So anyway, I'll get one more comment. Yes, Brother James, always be yourself. Vanessa says, so do I ask a lot of questions and he says, so I do, I think he meant to say, ask a lot of questions and most of the time I get kicked off the doctor's roster. Yeah, well, I mean, they didn't want to answer those questions. You find somebody who will answer them because you're not going to treat me or give me stuff and not tell me why. Ask questions. That's what I do with my doctors. Every doctor that I've had that was new, they tried that with me, like I call it the conveyor belt system, where, they'll say, come in, okay, take 2 of these and call me in the morning. Because see, I pay for mine out of pocket, right? So I need you to back all this up. Why do you need me to take this? And why do you say this, that, and the other? Like, line it up, homie. So my doctor, we spent about 20 minutes or so in the doctor's room just talking about different things, right? Because you're not going to just come in there and take 2 of these and see me in the morning. Not me, sucker. Anyway, love and appreciate every last one of y'all. I will see y'all tomorrow with Donovan. You guys have a great rest of your evening. Peace.